Etienne's brief that will speak for 5 minutes very seriously. So I'll tie myself down to 5. Patrice has said I should go down to 3 because he's come up with a very complicated PowerPoint presentation. I don't like to. So there was a series of questions we're asked to reflect on. And I chose to focus on the question on fraud and elections. The fact that the elections in Cameroon, presuming the elections from the 1990s on, been fraudulent and meaningless. The answer to that, of course, would be yes, they have been fraudulent and meaningless if the purpose of elections is to actually create the possibility, the reality of the possibility of alternation of power. My point would be that I think from the first set of elections in 1990, the current regime's interest has been to make sure that the electoral process cannot be used to dislodge you from power. So if you want to call that democracy, whatever category, it's just in the sense the elections are a ritual to satisfy both domestic and internal publics to retain power. And I think this becomes obvious if one looks. The first presidential elections in 1992, they were very close between Biya and Frundi, the leader of the Social Democratic Front. The margin was something, I think, under 4%. Biya got 35, 39 or so. I don't think. But I think the consensus domestically, and I think with international observers, particularly the diplomatic community, that it's a last-minute intervention by certain powers which shall remain unknown, which ensure an electoral victory for Biya. In other words, he had lost elections. And the credible rumor is that the French ambassador says not in my lifetime, and everything had to be done to produce a victory for Biya. Now, since then, each successive presidential election it's always been back to the future, because before we used to have elections under Enjeux, where it was normal for the president to be re-elected by 99.9%. Even his great-grandfather came to vote for him, or to vote, an affirmative vote. And we're seeing Biya's election is almost moving back with higher and higher and higher margins. And this occurs when every casual observer in Cameroon will know there's widespread social disenchantment with the regime. So it's kind of like, how can this happen? I think it's quite obvious that, and I think Fan is going through the electoral manipulation of administrative rules are important, and at the same time, the casual violence of the state, which is in display every day. In fact, from electoral time, it becomes even more pitched. But I'm not going to go into detail, but I want to argue that the fraud has to be seen in the deeper context. It has to be seen, in fact, in the configuration and constant, configuration and reconfiguration of the political system in Cameroon. I don't want to venture and say that the corruption, the fraud, because corruption is systematic in the system. That would be simplistic. But I just want to give a very sketchy overview, and we can elaborate on that. What I mean by electoral fraud being a manifestation of something, the kind of what I call normalization of corruption in a peculiar way in the system. Now, we went with a fast journey through Cameroon's post-colonial history. You know that under Enjeux built one of the most robust dictatorial systems in Africa, highly centralized political system where political and administrative authority was effectively fused and under the direction of the president. And it was a very complicated system. We will go into that. And so this is a system that Biya inherited. In terms, if there was a certain confidence in the system, now we'll talk about ethnicity and this. Eyoh was quite confident in the system that he could transfer power from somebody out of his own ethnic or religious formation. Because in fact, there's a sense of having built a state, which was a national state. Now, The two moments I think are important. Beer garden, and he gets hit by coup d'etat, coup d'etat year after. And what I'll propose, and we'll come back to discussion, is that from the moment of that coup d'etat, the Bias regime's priority is its incumbency at all costs. Right? I will see again the point we begin to remake the system to serve that purpose. And one of the key mechanisms was the growing politicization of the bureaucracy, right? And also the careful manipulation of ethno-regional divisions, the administrative needs. We move into the 1990s, we get a moment again of shock to the regime, and this time it is democratization, driven by popular pressures for change. First time that the regime actually faces a threat is incumbency. My general proposition would be that that need, imperative of regime survival becomes even more intensified, but in a different context. Prior to 1990s, and everyone who grew up in Cameroon will understand it, you could rule, get regional representation, but it really didn't count. Right? Like the guy was, you appointed people to represent their areas, but you didn't expect them to actually have a political following. So their loyalties were to the region. From the 1990s on, the logic changes that even the elites had to demonstrate that they could bring local or regional support to the table. Because now the electoral competition, whatever its purpose is, requires some claim of local, regional political control. And that's one dimension. And this is how we do this. And I think when we talk about corruption, we begin a process of an intense privatization of the state. Because it's an effective exchange. You hold political office and administrative office in exchange for bringing your people along. And in effect, you can use corruption, or you could eat from the state, but the cost of that eating is to bring the political support to use them. Now, broadly, I think that what is important here, I think, in my view, is that if you look at Cameroon, actually, its social structure, the state remains key to resources, both for people in private sector accumulation and those within the bureaucracy itself. So there's enormous pressure of the elites, right, to toe the line. This is important because we look at areas of successful transition, more or less successful transition to democracy in Cameroon. Part of the elite breaks away from the regime. Right? In the 1990s, we saw that happening, the development of mass political movements and the mass party. The SDF, the growth of so-called lawyers and others was mobilizing around the regime. From 1990 on, the tendency has been to frustrate those possibilities. Now one can speculate, and I'll do this if we're having beer, because I don't want to be heard of it. But what in the sense, the regime has enormous capacity to co-opt elites, both oppositional elites and those who want to or aspire to it. There's breaking away from the regime, again because of the material dependence on the state, is a kiss of death for both of those within the state and those pursuing private interests. So I think that that's why I say that the corruption is more than simply individual greed. It's something which goes deeper than that. Now, I would ask again, why does the corruption and fraudulent elections persist? Then one has to, within this frame, look at what happened to the major opposition parties, particularly the SDF, right, which had in fact emerged as a credible national alternative to the ruling party. What happened to it? And I think if one wants to see what happens to it, some of my analysis will hold. So the way, in fact, the way in which the SDF literally, became self-destructive. So I'll leave it at that. And then I can have more conversation. Thank you.